Is stuttering genetic? Now, I know that I'm actually confusing this with stuttering geneticism and losing hair. And I know that losing hair is genetic. Apparently it comes from your mother's side. So if your mother's brothers are bald, you'll know. But however, is stuttering genetic? Well, my mother has a stutter. She's told me about it. I don't think I've ever seen it. So I wonder if she substitutes. She hadn't really told me. My grandmother used to stutter, but I didn't see that too much. But so there we have 3 generations, basically. Haven't noticed it on my aunties and uncles on that side of the family. But I do know that I ran into a person who they stuttered, their mother stuttered, their grandmother stuttered. And one of the beliefs is that they thought maybe they didn't want to stop stuttering because they would be different and maybe even disrespecting their mother and grandmother. So that's an interesting one. I've also seen where a father stuttered and the son stuttered, although the father didn't even know that they stuttered, or at least didn't want to acknowledge it, but it was pretty obvious. And I don't mean just fumbles through words. So many times I've seen another family member who has had a stutter. And I think in there somewhere there were 2 sisters that I met who both had a stutter. But let's go and have a look at ChatGPT, because I'm doing these videos to learn just as much as you are about these fringe things. So I know pretty well about technique and so on and so forth, but I think that if you learn the things around the outside, then you may be able to get some hints and some tools and some understanding that'll help generally all of us. So I asked ChatGPT, is stuttering genetic? And it said, yes, stuttering can have a genetic component. Research suggests that stuttering tends to run in families, indicating a hereditary link. Studies have found that if a close relative, such as a parent or sibling, stutters, a person is more likely to develop a stutter as well. That's an interesting one, develop a stutter, as opposed to born with one. Oh, I wonder if that's just a phrasing that ChatGPT uses. Certain genes involved in speech and language development are believed to play a role in stuttering, although no single stuttering gene has been identified. However, genetics alone doesn't explain all cases of stuttering. Environmental factors such as early childhood experiences, stress, or trauma can also contribute to its development. So while genetics may increase the risk, stuttering is typically thought to result from a combination of genetic and environmental factors. And I know just reading that reminded me of a certain person who told me that they'd never stuttered until they landed in a new country. They'd actually moved from one country to another, and when they got off the plane, they started stuttering, and that was it. And they'd been stuttering, I think, for about 4 years before I met them on a course. So, yes, it is likely that somebody else in your family has a stutter. So have you asked around? Because sometimes I don't think if my mother or grandmother, I don't think if they hadn't told me that I would have known. So I wonder also if speaking around me was not a stuttering situation for them. Because we know how sometimes we can interact with some people when we have good speech, and then some interactions with other people, our speech is not so good. And even as I say that, I know I'm judging my speech as good and bad. But that's what happens. There you go. Until next time, bye for now.